Imagine taking, like, the ultimate high-stakes theology test.
Right.
You study the historical texts, you correctly identify every major figure, you get a perfect 100% on the identity of Jesus Christ, and you check all the right intellectual boxes.
Sounds like you'd pass.
You would think so, but you still fail the course.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Why? Because, according to the document we are exploring today, the demons took the exact same test, got the exact same perfect score, and they are headed for eternal damnation.
It's a pretty intense hook, I mean, when you put it like that.
Right. Welcome to today's deep dive, everyone. Today, our mission is to unpack this really passionate, intensely focused theological text. It's titled The Revelation of Christ, the Question of Eternal Salvation. And let me tell you, it does not pull any punches.
No, it really doesn't. It's a relentless piece of writing. It basically operates entirely on this strict binary system.
Yeah, eternal life or eternal hellfire.
Exactly. What we have in front of us is a curation of biblical scriptures. We're talking Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Acts, James, Corinthians. And all of this is woven together with a set of what the source calls core Bible lessons.
And those lessons frame this absolute uncompromising worldview that basically demands a response from you, the reader.
Right.
Now, real quick, I want to say, because this material touches on deeply held religious beliefs and makes these ultimate, absolute theological claims about the fate of every human soul, we're stepping into this deep dive.
Right. Our mission is just to break down the internal logic of this text so you can understand exactly how it builds its case.
Exactly. And the entire case, literally the whole thing, orbits around a single, highly demanding question presented in the book of Matthew, chapter 16. But who do you say that I am?
And according to this source, your eternal destiny rests entirely on how you answer that specific question.
Okay, let's unpack this, because to understand this theological framework, we really have to start exactly where the text begins, right?
Yeah, with that historical and spiritual debate over Jesus' identity. It places us right in the coast of CAESAREA Philippi.
Right.
Jesus is there, and he asks his disciples what the general public is saying about him. He asks, who do men say that I, the Son of Man, am?
And the disciples basically report back what sounds like a spiritual guessing game.
Yeah, pretty much.
Some people are saying he's John the Baptist, others think he is Elias, still others say Jeremias, or just some generic prophet.
It's public rumor, hearsay.
Right, it's like how people today try to guess the motives of some distant celebrity or historical figure just based on passing glances.
That's a great way to put it. And then Jesus pivots directly to his inner circle. He shifts from that public opinion to personal conviction.
He asks them directly.
Right. He says, but who do you say that I am? And Simon Peter delivers this definitive, unwavering answer. He says, you are the Christ, the Son of the living God.
And Jesus' response to this is what sets up the foundational rule for the entire rest of the document.
It really is.
He says, blessed are you, Simon Barjona, for flesh and blood has not revealed it to you, but my Father who is in heaven.
What's fascinating here is that the text immediately establishes a binary.
Yeah, let's pause on that phrase, flesh and blood, because to a modern ear, that just sounds like, a purely biological reference.
Right, like muscles and bones.
Exactly. But in the context of the theological framework this document is building, what is the author actually targeting with that phrase?
Well, in this context, flesh and blood is basically shorthand for human limitation.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it represents human epistemology. Reasoning, scientific deduction, empirical evidence.
Crowdsourced public opinion.
Exactly. The text is establishing a hard rule here. No amount of human logic or historical analysis could ever arrive at this specific absolute truth.
So it's like looking at a heavily encrypted file. The general public guessing he's a prophet is just human deduction trying to guess passwords. It's that flesh and blood trial and error.
Yeah, they're just typing in password 123 over and over.
Right. But Peter wasn't just guessing. The text claims he was handed the master decryption key directly by the Creator.
That's exactly how the text frames it. An exclusive divine insider revelation.
And that revelation establishes Jesus not just as a great moral teacher, but specifically as the true only begotten Son of the living God.
And that title, the only begotten Son, is incredibly important to the source material. It is not just a descriptive honorific.
Right, it's not just a nice title.
No, it is a restrictive clause. The document uses it to systematically eliminate every other religious or philosophical path.
Yeah.
Because he is the only begotten Son, the logic dictates he must be the only path to God.
Which makes sense within their framework. If human guesswork is always wrong, and the penalty for being wrong is severe, the text is intentionally cornering the reader here.
Yeah, it brings in John chapter 14, verses 5 and 6 to just close every possible theological loophole.
Oh, right, where Thomas is asking questions.
Yes. The disciple Thomas is confused and asks Jesus how they can know the way.
Mm.
And the response is absolute. Jesus says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man comes to the Father except by me.
And the document reinforces that exact choke point with Acts chapter 4, verse 12, which insists there is no other name under heaven given among men by which we must be saved.
It creates a theological structure with zero gray area.
So what does this all mean for the middle ground? Because that is a profoundly uncomfortable concept for a lot of people today.
Oh, absolutely.
We naturally love hedging our bets, right? We love finding a neutral middle ground where we can say, well, he was a really good teacher.
But according to this source, simply admiring Jesus as a good teacher is functionally identical to rejecting him.
Wow.
Yeah. And it results in the same eternal lake of fire. The text uses John chapter 3 to drop a massive hammer on the idea of neutrality.
John 3.16. Right, most people know that one.
Right. It states that God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, and whoever believes in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. It even says God didn't send his Son to condemn the world.
But then it delivers this incredibly stark warning right after that. It says, he who believes on Jesus is not condemned, but he who believes not is condemned already.
Condemned already. That's the key phrase.
Wait, if humanity is condemned already by default, how does the text justify that? It sounds like people are being severely punished just for, standing on the sidelines.
Well, this is the crux of the text's theological weight. It forces a decision. The internal logic here hinges on the idea of a pre-existing fatal condition.
A pre-existing condition.
Yeah. It doesn't portray God as actively striking down neutral, innocent observers. It portrays humanity as a sinking ship. You aren't being thrown overboard for failing to believe. You are already on a vessel that is going under.
So the text is framing the acceptance of Jesus not as a lifestyle enhancement or some path to personal enlightenment. It's an urgent, singular rescue mission.
Exactly.
If you don't get in the lifeboat, you go down with the ship because the ship was condemned already.
And the penalty described in the text's core lessons for rejecting that lifeboat is severe. The author warns that unbelievers will forever remain in hellfire's eternal darkness, torment, and condemnation, with Satan himself and all his evil agents.
Okay, so if the path to salvation is a single, clearly defined lifeboat, and the alternative is this horrific, eternal darkness, the obvious question is, why wouldn't everyone just get in the boat?
Right.
Why is the world constantly debating whether he's just a good teacher or a prophet? Does the source explain how people can be so blind to a rescue mission that's sitting right in front of them?
The document actually anticipates that exact question. And it points directly to active, deliberate spiritual interference.
Spiritual interference.
Yeah, it said 2 Corinthians chapter 4 explaining that the God of this world has blinded the minds of them who believe not, lest the light of the glorious gospel of Jesus Christ should shine unto them.
Here's where it gets really interesting. The God of this world, meaning Satan.
Yes.
So the text argues that the world isn't accidentally confused by, historical distance or poor translation or just innocent misunderstanding.
No, not at all.
It is being actively and maliciously deceived. It's like wearing severely tinted glasses without realizing you have them on.
That's exactly it. It even pulls from Matthew 24, where Jesus himself warns the disciples that many will come in his name saying they are Christ and shall deceive many.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, how does the text suggest anyone can see clearly enough to make the right choice?
Well, the author of these core Bible lessons asserts that human history is a continuous, active spiritual war zone.
Wow.
The intellectual debates people have over theology, the various world religions, the ungodly opinions about Jesus, the text categorizes all of that as a deliberate smokescreen.
A smokescreen manufactured by Satan and his evil principalities to obscure that single lifeboat.
Yes. It completely reframes the nature of doubt for the reader.
Yeah, it really does. Because if someone is listening to this and they're wrestling with whether to believe, this text essentially tells them, your doubt isn't a product of your own intellectual rigor.
Right.
Your doubt is a weapon being used against you by a hostile spiritual entity trying to keep you on the sinking ship.
It forces the reader to view their own skepticism with deep suspicion. The core lessons explicitly claim this world is ruled by Satan, meaning The default state of human culture and reasoning, that flesh and blood limitation we talked about earlier.
It's compromised from the start.
Exactly. It's completely compromised.
Which leads us to the most jarring and honestly fascinating paradox in this entire theological framework. Yes. We've established that Satan and his agents are blinding human minds with confusion. But according to the text, those very same agents of deception, the ones muddying the waters for humanity, possess a perfectly clear, absolute intellectual understanding of exactly who Jesus is.
This is such a wild concept.
Yeah.
The text leans heavily into James chapter 2 to illustrate this point.
James 2-point line, right?
Yeah. The verse contains this striking warning. You believe that there is one God. You do well. The devils also believe and tremble.
And tremble.
Right. And then the document strings together a series of really visceral encounters from the Gospels of Mark, Luke, and Matthew to prove the theological accuracy of the demons.
Yeah, when Jesus encounters people possessed by unclean spirits, those demons don't guess that he's John the Baptist or Jeremias.
No, they don't need to guess.
In Mark 1, the unclean spirit literally screams, I know who you are, the Holy One of God.
And in Luke 4, the devils come out of many crying, You are Jesus Christ, the Son of God.
And the text specifically points out that Jesus actively rebukes them and suffers them not to speak because they knew he was Christ.
Furthermore, in Matthew 8, the demons even acknowledge his ultimate authority and the inevitability of their own damnation.
Right, they cry out asking if he has come to torment us before the time.
They comprehend his unmatched power, his authority, his judgment. They know the absolute truth of his identity, and they are terrified of it.
But wait, this is where the logic of the text feels incredibly severe to me.
How so?
Because if the ultimate enemies of God know exactly who Jesus is, if they can pass the theology test perfectly, then simply acknowledging the historical and theological fact that Jesus is the Son of God is not what this text means by salvation.
No, it's not.
If knowing the truth makes you a demon, how does the text define what makes you saved?
This raises an important question. You've hit the exact friction point the text is trying to create in the mind of the reader.
Okay.
It explicitly states in the core Bible lessons, true godly faith is not just in knowing who Jesus Christ is, as even demons know.
So intellectual belief is categorized here as like demonic level faith.
Exactly. It is necessary, perhaps, to know the facts, but it's entirely insufficient for salvation.
Think about how often you might settle for just knowing about a subject rather than actually engaging with it, like reading the Wikipedia page instead of reading the book.
Right.
This text is arguing that treating Jesus as a trivia subject, even if you get all the trivia completely right, leaves you in the exact same eternal category as the demons. You are just agreeing with the devils who tremble.
And to escape that category, the text demands a fundamental shift in the actual mechanism of belief.
What does that shift look like?
It mandates that a sinful lost soul must have a personal relationship with Jesus Christ the Savior. It moves the requirement from mere cognitive recognition to active, lived submission.
Let's dig into the how of that. What does that mechanism actually look like in practice, according to the document?
Well, it gives us a sequence.
Okay.
Completely believing only in Jesus, confessing with the mouth, believing with the heart that God raised him from the dead, repenting from sin, and obeying God's holy Bible word.
So how does confessing with the mouth or obeying commandments actually change the nature of the belief from demonic to saved? Because the demons talked out loud too.
The text provides the key to that mechanism through a direct quote from Jesus. If you love me, keep my commandments.
Love and obedience.
Exactly. The shift from demonic belief to godly salvation is defined by submission and love. The demons recognize Jesus' authority, but their nature is to rebel against it.
Right.
A saved human, according to this framework, recognizes the authority and willingly submits to it through daily obedience.
So obedience isn't framed merely as, a separate set of rules you have to follow after you believe.
No.
Obedience is the very evidence that your belief is genuine and not demonic. The action proves the faith.
The text demands a daily walk. The core lessons literally state, walk with Jesus Christ daily until the end.
It treats salvation not as a static, intellectual decision you made once in the past, but as an ongoing, active alignment of a person's entire life with God's Word.
Yeah, and it's fascinating how the text shifts gears in its final sections.
It really does. It goes from this theological essay into an urgent, intensely personal intervention.
It basically grabs the listener by the shoulders.
Right. It says, "You know not when death shall come, and after death comes judgment." It warns that Jesus is coming soon again for his church, his saved souls.
The urgency is designed to shatter that compromised, flesh and blood, human complacency we talked about.
It is essentially telling the reader, time is running out, the test is right now, and the stakes are permanent. You cannot stay neutral, and intellectual agreement won't save you. You must ensure you will have no regrets, be saved now and always.
And really, that urgency is the logical conclusion of everything the text is built up.
Yeah.
If humanity is on a sinking ship and the lifeboat is clearly identified, standing around discussing the craftsmanship of the lifeboat while the water rises around you is fatal.
Wow. Yeah.
The document demands an immediate active response.
When you look at the sheer weight of this document laid out from start to finish, the internal logic is kind of staggering.
It's very tightly constructed.
It begins with Peter's divine revelation, just eliminating all human guesswork. It forces you onto that sinking ship with only one exclusive lifeboat.
Right.
It exposes the intellectual debates and false religions of the world as a deliberate, demonic smokescreen designed to keep you blind.
And then it strips away the comfort of merely knowing the theological facts, equating intellectual belief with the trembling of devils.
And finally, it demands a radical, lived, obedient, personal relationship with Jesus Christ as the absolute only escape from eternal hellfire.
It attempts to peel back all the layers of a confused, blinded world to present a stark, uncompromising binary choice to every single individual reading it.
It's heavy stuff, and honestly, it leaves us with a lot to process.
It does. And actually, the text leaves us with a final, deeply provocative challenge right at the end.
Oh, right, the verse from Mark.
Yes. It quotes Mark chapter 4, verse 23. If anyone has ears to hear, let him hear.
Think about that command in the context of the demonic paradox we just explored.
Yeah.
The demons intellectually hear and know the truth perfectly. They identify the Son of God without any hesitation.
They get the A+ on the test.
Exactly. So what does it truly mean for a human to have ears to hear in a world that the text claims is actively designed by the God of this world to blind and deafen them?
It implies that true hearing isn't auditory.
No.
It isn't even intellectual. True hearing, in the context of this document, might just be the visible radical action of a changed, obedient life.
It is a profound challenge to the reader's understanding of their own faith.
Definitely something for you to mull over.
True hearing is action. It brings us right back to the beginning. The world is guessing, the demons know but rebel, and the text is staring right at you, asking the most crucial question of all. But who do you say that I am?
It's a question that doesn't let you just walk away.
No, it doesn't. Well, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into such a complex, urgent, and uncompromising document.
Thank you for listening, and keep asking those deep questions.
Until next time, take care and keep diving deep.